Welcome to the meeting of the Rules Review and Legislative Modernization Committee. Today is June 28th. I am Lynn Lakakis, and let us begin with we have Mark Grimm, Andrew Joyce, he's around here somewhere, Matt Miller, he's excused tonight, Jeff Purley, Bill Ricard, Wanda Willingham, Jeff Kuhn, and Mr. O'Brien Joseph. All right, so the first order of business is to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which are very brief, and if you haven't read them yet, you could probably do it right now. I'll take a motion when you're ready. Motion from Mr. O'Brien.
Second.
Second, Mr. Kuhn. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right. The second thing that we have on our agenda, and the only thing on our agenda, is to discussion regarding the procurement policy, advertising, and outreach section. I hope that you've all had a chance to have a look at that. It is part of a 58 or 56-page document that you all got back in February, but anyway, does anybody have any questions?
I got a question.
Okay.
So, what was changed?
Nothing
Nothing's changed at this point. This is just for review of the current policy to see if any changes should be recommended.
And then just a particular section?
Yeah, we're honing in, rather than focusing on the entire 50-page document, we figured it would be easier just to focus on the actual process that has been raised so many times at meetings.
Which is?
By one person. The outreach and advertisement process.
Sorry.
So we picked this to look at in response to that request, and because it's quite defined by the law how the purchasing has to go, but there are some things that, I guess this is the low, this meets every qualification of the law, Pat? It's like we could do more or no? We could do less?
It meets
We
the
can't do
requirements
less.
of the law.
It meets the requirements.
Yeah, you can't do less. Whether you can do more depends on a number of factors, including ethical requirements.
Okay.
So,
That's what I thought. So I just
What do
wanted
they
to
do
make
on
sure.
the state level as far as the bidding process?
they do the BidNet and newspapers. That's what the state law requires. So they do that as well.
So this is the same as what we have now? That's the question.
This is the
This
current
is what
policy.
we have now.
Okay, are we saying we're looking at this to see if it, okay, so we're looking
If
at
you think it's
this.
adequate, or if it needs improvement, or,
You know, newspapers are unfortunately a dying advertising. Is there some sort of electronic?
Well, that's the BidNet. You can sign up for BidNet, and I think it's a small fee for, it's a state-run service. There's a small fee if you want an automatic notification. Otherwise, it's free if you want to just check it occasionally to see if there are any open RFPs that you might be interested in.
Yeah, I can't conceive of any other, I realize that the way this came up is because there was a particular person with the pharmacy thing who
Yeah.
felt like the notification was inadequate, and I understand that, like the notifications in the newspaper, like that is antiquated and really ineffective way to notify anybody of anything. But we also can't, like, we're not gonna drive around and say, hey, there's this thing coming up, like you might be interested in it. What we do is have this thing, this website, BidNet, right? And if you're in a business that, where RFPs or things like that are relevant to what you're doing, I think it's incumbent upon you, as part of doing business, to understand that system and to monitor it, or if you pay this fee to get the notifications when something relevant to your business comes up. I can't think of anything else we could possibly be doing. What else? I mean, what else could we do?
well, I was trying to think about it from her perspective. In another situation, say the county all of a sudden wanted to had a need for something that they had never, ever had a need for before. And so they put it on the bid net, they got one bid, happy, fine, but it could be that there's a small cottage industry right here in Albany County that makes just that particular wool hat that they want to order right now, and that, that wool hat person has never even thought of working with the state before, never even knew about BidNet, doesn't know, why would the county want wool hats, and so to me, we do passive advertising. And we do passive advertising in almost everything we do. We put it on the website and we feel like that's enough. And in other parts of the world, sometimes that isn't enough. Like, so I was wondering if there was a time at which, if it was a new thing or some different thing that we had never done before, or in a different tranche of the kind of business, that we could make a different effort.
Yeah.
And now, Paul's gonna talk after.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Why don't you counterpoint first, you
Yeah,
can, and then.
Well, how is it that we, and maybe we can use the actual example that kind of caused this as like a thought experiment. So should, on this pharmacy thing, in addition to having it on BidNet and presumably being in the newspaper, should we have asked people, should it have been a requirement that the Department of Health sort of actively went out and went to Lincoln Pharmacy, for instance, and not just Lincoln, all the other, whatever the other pharmacies would have been, and somehow notified them in a more affirmative way, either via mail or something like that? I guess that I can see why that sounds good, but it's always going to be a question of like, who is it who's deciding who to notify, and are people, I'm not sure how workable it is but I'm, whatever.
Paul.
I'm chopping at the bit, I'm sorry.
Rebecca.
Anybody who has a phone, can you pull up DASNY.org?
I knew he was gonna say Dasney.
Well, they only do 10,000 bids a year, okay, so,
But they do construction, pretty much, right?
no, they buy everything. They buy chairs, they do procurement for SUNY, New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, they buy stainless steel tables, they buy aquariums for the CUNY King's College School of Aquarium, they buy fish, they buy everything.
A lot of stuff.
DASNY.org, top line, go to opportunities. Click on it, go down, what does it say? RFP and bids. They list, so they also put stuff in the New York State, it used to be called the Contract Reporter. It's now
Oh, I
called
remember that.
It's the Empire State Purchasing Group website.
Okay, well, it's got a brand new shiny name, it's been rebranded, but it's still the Contract Reporter. Joe's used it 1,000 times. So you put everything out there, so you say to the world, this is what we are procuring. And it has 100 different categories in it. And if it's furniture, you go to furniture. And if it's plumbing, you go to plumbing. And you have to have some knowledge about it. But if you go to this at DASNY, you can see everything that they bid, whether it's a professional service contract, or a commodity bid, or a performance bid, or whatever. And they put, I believe, they still put the results of the bids up there. Who's the lowest bidder? So that way, if a prime contractor comes in and says, I want to build the nursing home, and you're the low bidder, all the subcontractors can see, like this, who the low bidder is, and then they can, they know who to go to try to sell their subcontracts. But if we were to do something like this with the county, you meet the test of public notice. It's the same public notice you're giving the state, but I'll use their name, Lincoln Pharmacy doesn't have to wade through the New York State Contract Reporter. People can just look through the bid notices. Anyone
It is
who's
actually also
concerned.
posted on the Capital Region Purchasing Group website for viewing and downloading at any time also.
Okay.
So, and I don't know if our purchasing page on our website has a link to that directly. I was just gonna check that right now.
Well, I don't know, but I'm saying,
But
it's all
BidNet
about
is
the
not the only.
presentation.
You know, I
You
understand.
could- you- Somebody is electronically sending it somewhere now.
And you can actually also call purchasing, ask them if there's any RFPs that you might be interested in.
Yeah, but if
and
you
they will
want,
send you
but if
everything.
you want to, if you're doing this at 11 o'clock at night, you can go to Albany County's website and click on procurement opportunities, and there's all the public information.
Are you saying that there's some kind of substantive difference between the DASNY website and BidNet?
Yeah, this only has DASNY stuff. Albany County would only have Albany County stuff.
But still, when you said say to the, you said say to the world, like DASNY can say to the world. Like, if you're talking to the world, I think that's the crux of it. Like, I just been talking to 3,000 people for months.
Okay.
And I
But
know
if-
that a
But
400
if you're a
of them hurt me.
pharmacy in Albany County looking to bid something that relates to a pharmacy in Albany County, wouldn't you look under health, mental health?
But why would you be looking? That's the point I'm trying to make. How would a person know that they're
Well,
even putting a pharmacy in?
you
That's,
get, I'm right where Jeff is.
Go ahead,
You
answer.
cannot selectively, you will violate every public procurement law to do selective notification. Because if you call up Bergdorf's Pharmacy and say, hey, we got this thing going in OMH, well, why didn't you call Bloomington, Wanda's Pharmacy, or Joe's Pharmacy, or Andrew's Pharmacy, or, you know. Now you've created a competitive disadvantage for
Right.
people who were not notified. So you have to go with a public thing that's fair to everybody. And I was suggesting that if this is so arduous for somebody through the state procurement website, this could be a great thing. This is how DASNY also increases their MWBE numbers, because MWBEs have an opportunity to go in and see every construction contract that DASNY bids. And they know there's gonna be a required set aside, et cetera. So it creates a focal point, a funnel, that just leads to Albany County stuff.
Right, but doesn't BidNet?
Andrew's next.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I don't want to stifle the flow here.
No, now I've got my excitement out.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you that there's something that exists, and it's for this very reason. And to be honest with you, it was created to help MWBEs. And so they had one-stop shopping to see every place, every contract
Yeah.
that a billion-dollar corporation was putting out there.
I don't know if this was covered yet, but it appears to me as if this was written before the internet existed. So is it as simple as adding a bullet here about adding all of this information on the county website? I mean, we can kind of build that out as we go. Is there some promotion behind that? Like, you can go to the Albany County website and view all this information as you please, and it's very intuitive and user-friendly, and we put in a bullet about social media, like we have to do some promotion behind this as well. I mean, the Evangelist and the Times-Union, again, their readership is probably significant, maybe 30 years ago, but we need to update this for modern times.
Yes?
Could I just speak to what is currently on the county website?
Yeah.
So if you go to the purchasing tab, it's one page, it's not multi-pages. At the bottom, it gives the link to, it says, here's the link to BidNet where all the bids are posted. If you click on that, it takes you to a filtered section of BidNet that only shows you the Albany County bids.
Well, then we have it.
So it's there.
It's there. Or maybe it's repackaging it so that it's more prominent. So it's not 3 filters down, 4 clicks away.
Wanda? No, I'm sorry, you were ahead of her. Sorry.
No. I've already.
Where to find it.
I kind of agree with all the comments that have been made. If we got to put it on paper where somebody can see it or whatever, you know. I agree with the chairman, but I also agree with Bergdorf, and I agree with Jeff. The problem that I had with this is that this is something that's really, this is how we did business. And right now, the woman who wrote this thing is now going all over the state telling people how to do and practice their procurement practices with NISAC and every place else.
Sure.
Okay? It also, I believe, combines the practices from what New York State does too. I think the issue, we might be dodging the issue that this woman really, that Lincoln Pharmacy really had. I'm just gonna put it out there. But I did ask her, she did not take advantage of something she knew about. And so if we're going to change this, I think we need to change it with a different mindset of how we can make things better. Not because somebody says that they were not able to make themselves available, knowing that the bid was out there. She chose not to bid. And it's just my opinion. I felt that because she thought she had an entitlement to it because she was doing the work, and that she didn't. And then when somebody else got it, you know. So I'm not saying that she didn't do a good job and this and that, but I think if we're going to review this and do it the right way, we should be doing it to help Albany County, you know, do business better, okay, and to see what is missing. And so far, everybody here is saying the same thing. Let's just update the practice, period. But not because someone was at a disadvantage, you know, because they didn't get a bid.
I got Jeopardy, so, and then please speak.
Yeah, really briefly, from what I'm hearing, our current system seems pretty okay, right? We don't have a DASNY system because we don't have the volume of business that they do. So what we do is we instead use the state system, and you can go to the county website, click on a link, and it'll take you to a filtered version of the state system that's just Albany County stuff. That seems like a pretty good system. The one thing is, the written policy just has to be updated to be consistent with what's actually going on. But I don't think what's actually going on, it seems pretty fine. And so I think we should update this to make it clear that it's not just the newspaper, it's the BidNet. And we should make sure that people are doing it by putting it in the system, you know, although I'm not hearing anything indicating people aren't doing it. And then that seems like a pretty modest solution.
Do we have to keep the evangelist? We vote on
We do,
this.
those are.
We have to have an official newspaper.
Absolutely.
That's absolute from the state.
Yeah, you have to have two of them, actually, I think.
Yeah, we
Do
do
we have
have
it
to.
out
Yeah,
there?
that's right, I mean, it's not just a newspaper.
When was the last time somebody got a government contract with the evangelist?
But
I mean,
there's-
how did the evangelist get on that list?
Because it's cheap to publish legal
And
notices.
because it's one of only like three newspapers that meet a certain
Criteria.
distribution amount. I mean, it's significantly less than the TU, obviously, but it's still far more than other like church newspapers, which is, yeah, the Spotlight, I mean, other things that are
Well,
local.
that may have been true when they agreed to this 30 years ago. I doubt
Well, we
that
just did an
was-
RFP a year and a half ago, so it is still true.
They were the best.
We voted on it.
Well, I mean, I'm a Catholic family, they just send evangelists to us, but nobody read it. So, I mean, but we didn't really subscribe, so I don't know if they're still doing that or not. But that's,
Yeah. It makes no sense. Business
Would
review
would
sounds.
the Chamber of Commerce be helpful in trying to,
I mean, maybe they could put it on their website or promote it as well.
Just,
I think part of the concern is that for the instance that everyone's referencing where the person did not bid, but seemed to feel like they should have been affirmatively reached out to, we can't do that.
No.
That's what it comes down to. We cannot be in the business of keeping a list or affirmatively reaching out to anyone, because then our failure to reach out to any one person who we may have missed, I mean, that would require purchasing to be an expert on every area that we bid out.
That's excellent.
So it's just not really possible, and then we can be held liable for the failure to send it out, so.
Well, we don't want to make the playing field any more difficult, that is for sure. Yes?
Okay. I guess, did I hear somebody say it can be two newspapers?
It has
Okay.
It is two
Has to be.
And what are the two?
The Evangelist and the
Times Union.
Okay.
It can only be two?
Oh. I didn't see
You
that.
have to have two per state law.
That's the low bar. Could we do like the Business Review or some?
Well, it's
at least
money we
the
could
business-
spend
Well, the
on
business
social
review
media.
did not respond to
You know,
our RFP,
what does-
so I mean,
For example, what do
could be anyone.
pharmacies Are they in an association? What kind of things do they watch? I mean, that's the way to reach people, is to identify.
But again, any affirmative reaching out.
I don't think they're reading the evangelist. So that's really what we need to do, is do a better job as a government.
Well, I
to
think
get
part
in
of it
the
is if
sphere
you're in the
of
business
people.
of doing business, you need to be aware of what opportunities are
Yeah,
available for your
exactly.
business. So there is a certain level of,
They didn't do their homework.
Responsibility.
yeah, you have to have a certain level of responsibility. That the county can only do so much per state law. We can't affirmatively go out and be giving recommendations. I mean, we
And
can,
that's good to
purchasing can say, who do you want us to, I mean, do you want us to send this to like a bar association or whatever, like for certain types of RFPs? But beyond that, we can't do anything that tailors it to anyone, because it would be, I mean, you would be preferencing those people that you knew about against those people that you did not know about and inadvertently omitted.
All right, Wanda's gonna talk. and
Okay,
then-
so I just want to say this. Okay, so my grandson's 19 years old. He wants to buy a car. And so I sat him down, I talked to him about it, and I said, he said, how can I buy a car? I said, well, you know, you're gonna have to get it financed since you're not independently wealthy. And I said, where's your bank account at? I won't, you know. So I said, go on their website and find out, you know, put in, they got all kind of interactive things that you can do, da-da-da-da-da. So he called me tonight. He told me, I did like he told me. I went on the webpage. And you know what else he told me he did? I applied. Okay?
On the webpage.
And they told me that because I'm gonna read the letter that they, you know, what they said on why I couldn't get it, because of my limited da-da-da-da-da-da. But it took him on his whole steam to go out and do and search out what he needed to do. And so it doesn't change anything that we're saying right now. It's incumbent upon the individual to do what they need to do to, you know, get what they want, all right? And it, again, I say she was, individuals are not unaware of how Albany County does business. And just like, okay, so how do I get what I want? And if the 19-year-old can do it,
But
okay, and figure it out.
Wanda, he needed guidance from you, though. I mean, so.
But he asked.
So, you know, that's what the government is, to me, is the guidance for folks who don't know how to do what they need to do. And, you know, we're all legislators, we know government. A lot of people, you know, it's a mystery to them.
But somebody in business should, that's a 19-year-old who needed a little guidance. Somebody who's running their own business should perhaps be a little more sophisticated.
These kids Google everything.
Well, so what we learned here tonight is there's a good reason we have a passive advertising system to keep the playing field level, that we don't really have to, maybe we could put one bullet in about the county website, having a link there if people wanted to know, but that we might also advertise that the county website has information about bidding and job opportunities and all kinds of other things, so maybe a little something like that. Does anybody have anything else on any of the other issues in them? Yep.
I just want to, I'm going to do my last commercial for what's here,
Safe
okay?
choice.
Because once you have the contract opportunity, the bidding opportunity, you can view the full details of the opportunity, you can view interested subs and suppliers, you can add your firm as an interested sub or supplier for that business opportunity, and you can view the plan holders, which in the construction industry are the places where you would go and get your detailed plans and specs. But it's not just for construction, there's another one they got up here for professional services, for escrow financing agent services, for financial services. So every commodity, every contract, and every professional service thing is here, with the ability to get more information about it and to register your interest. So, I mean, it's got more bells and whistles, but there's an opportunity here to give people more information.
Go ahead,
So on our webpage, or not our webpage, yeah, our webpage, our social media, Twitter, everything, quarterly, we can promote and set up a promotion for the county's system that we have. I think we can do that, and I'll commit to doing that now. We have a comms director that's coming in, the first week of July, so that'll be one of our first tasks, is to help us build it out. We can also ask the county executive's office to do the same, because he also has a substantial, web presence. So as far as the social media aspect goes, I think we can address it that way. We can't put it in here, because the moment we don't do it, we'll get in trouble, and sometimes that happens, we forget to do things. But I think that's how we handle the social media aspect of it, is we promote it on our own channels, and then individually we can do it quarterly or whatever we want to do. But I guess part of the issue too is that you have to dig through several layers to find this information, and we can kind of demystify it for people. So commit to doing that today.
Demystification, it's always good.
Lynn,
Yes.
does the county charge anybody to get information that's public information? That always bugged me.
I don't think
Just
so.
Yeah,
did that- didn't that state that-
Pursuant to FOIL, you can be charged for physical
Yeah,
copies
yeah,
of
I
something,
know,
or
I know.
CDs as needed,
I
but if
always
you
ask
get
for
it,
the electronic,
yeah,
that drives me crazy.
if it's capable of being electronically provided, you can just ask for it that way.
But in order to have access to these bids,
They're free.
where do we charge any of our citizens?
No.
But BidNet, is that a state?
BidNet is
I-
the state site, they charge it for automatic notifications. You can go on and download whatever you want, you can filter, you can look at all of them, you can get more information about all of them. It's just if you want a heads up that, hey, this one that you might be interested in, that you've registered your interest in previously. So it's basically you're paying for an account with them, because it's a higher level.
Okay.
It's like LinkedIn. You have the
Yeah.
basic service, it's free. You have access to everything. If you want some bells and whistles, you're gonna pay $3.99 a month, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the fee is offhand, but it's supposed to be like de minimis.
I did read in here that if you're gonna Federal Express it, that you have to provide the payment for it, so you have to provide the account number. So that's like charging them, that's.
But that's only if you
required
are
charge, but that's only if you want Federal Express. They'll regular mail it for nothing, and, yeah, first class mail. Just takes longer than it used to. Anything else? Are we good?
We're good.
I want to thank you for pushing this and keeping this on the agenda and on everyone's minds. It's just an opportunity for us to respond and do good things and improve the process. So, nice work.
Pick up our
A
code
question,
corrections
Lynn,
next time.
as long as we're on the Rules Reform Committee, what is the latest on our modernization that we passed 3 years ago? We still can't find somebody's voting record if we wanted it.
And
We're
I
not-
couldn't-
There's no electronic voting in our chamber. When is all this
There's
gonna
no
come?
button for the coding, right? Yet, we did all that coding, we were gonna put it on the website so that the average
Oh,
Sam could.
That's
Click on it
that's actually
easily.
almost ready. Part of it is just we're removing some things that were like test runs from like 2020. So we're still working with information services on it.
It's
It's just,
moving though?
it is moving. The problem is, as I said before, we've had repeated issues with Granicus. Anytime we ask for, like, we have multiple people in the body, or two at least, who have the same last name. We cannot differentiate between the two of them in Granicus. We have to do like a special hack to work around it. They can't for whatever reason fix it, and they won't tell us why or why not, or any further information. So there's a variety of little tweaks like that you would think would be easy and no problem at all, but here we are. And that's part of what's holding us up. We've had a lot of trouble getting feedback from them, getting answers to questions, and we're all but ready to move forward.
I can't believe this has never come up, that some people have the same name. Ouch.
Well, exactly. How is it possible? I mean, Smith even, I mean,
Joyce, for crying out loud.
well, yeah, I mean, it's not like it's some extra long odd name. It's a very common name. So you would think they would have dealt with this before amongst any of the states they had, but they've apparently never thought to correct it, even though we've given them multiple prompts.
Well,
All right.
I think I suggested this maybe 2 or 3 months ago, but can we put something in writing from all of us? And we can work with majority council and Patrick and outline these issues that we've encountered over the past 2 years. Like, these are on our agenda, we see them, and what's going on. We can't, say anything other than that, but at least put them on notice. Like, we're paying you a lot of money to.
Yeah, all of our communication with them is in email, so it's all in writing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we definitely have evidence of everything we've been doing. It's just, they keep changing, like, they've changed our service provider or whatever, and that person has no idea how to do anything, so it's like a learning curve every single time you talk to them. It's very odd.
Can we hold the check back? I'd love to do that, in my regular life. Skip a payment,
Well,
and, wow,
I'm
I'm just
surprised
staring
they-
at you.
They had a pretty good reputation, Lynn and I went over
Yeah.
this, they had a good reputation, but it may come to the point, we're sick of this. And what would be the feasibility of having a different vendor? Maybe it's not feasible, but.
Well, I'm not sure because
disappointed in them.
the executive also uses Granicus and
Well,
contracts for it
that's partially
separately.
why we chose it.
Yeah, so they contract for it separately, so we have multiple contracts in play. We'd have to do another RFP and go through the whole process.
I'm not committed that we can't apply some pressure
Right.
in a healthy way with cash, or the lack of it, and see if we can't get a little more attention.
Give them 10 minutes with
Well, you know, the state uses it, the county, the rest of the county
Is there
uses it.
some polite communication that the Rules Reform Committee can send to them?
Let's do it.
Saying,
We'll draft
well,
something. We'll draft something.
work with council to draft something that
We'll send it
is
around an
consistent.
email for you to approve or deny.
We can certainly try. They've not responded well to past communications.
If we put Wanda's name on it, they will respond.
10 minutes with Wanda, we'll have no fun.
Go ahead, Paul.
Anytime you purchase enterprise software, okay, for which Granicus is, and they're in, 50 states, 150 municipalities, you get a core product. And you probably, I would think, I have no idea what our contract says with Granicus, but you probably have something in there that says you get X number of hours of customization, okay? In order to tailor the product more towards your needs. Before we write a letter, we ought to figure out what their responsibility is under our existing contract to customize something for our needs. Because you may, in essence, be asking for an amendment to your contract to go above and beyond what the dollar figure that you have contracted for entails.
So we'll have to go to BidNet.
Sure.
No,
I'm being-
It's a joke.
Pat?
It's a joke.
Pat? True?
Yeah, one of our biggest issues with this whole endeavor is that it started pretty much at the dawn of COVID and then shut down for a year and a half at least, probably more than that. So while we had the training wheels coming off, they're back on. But currently, we're essentially at the light switch phase of this, where we're gonna go from all years prior to the new. And once we hit the switch, all years prior, which is ultimately pretty limited. Everything that was put into Granicus up until December 2020, or January 2020 will disappear, including a bunch of the executive stuff. We're trying to back it up so that when we delete it from the public view, internally we still have access to it. So we're working with IT to get parts of that done. But that light switch is gonna be hit pretty soon, I hope. Then come the next steps. I mean, your agendas are on your iPads. We can use them in chambers. The voting is gonna have to be reevaluated. Luckily, we're gonna have the consent agenda for the ARPA stuff coming up. We'll get back into electronic voting once we get Granicus pretty solid, but there is a public-facing website that we sent to you all. It's, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I can send it to you again, where you can see the votes. You can't sort by, it's a wonky system, but all the information is there. All the sponsors, all the co-sponsors. Every time something goes onto your device, it goes on that website at the same time. Because that website's basically what publishes things to your device. So once we hit the light switch and everything, all the old is gone and all the new is how we do stuff going forward, I think we'll be in a lot better place, and then we'll hit the chambers game and get back to voting in person. Luckily, we seemingly do not have a tremendous amount of turnover as we did it between 19 and 20.
Well, one thing, the chamber audio is terrible. You can't really, the committee is pretty decent, but the chamber audio is terrible. Who's in charge with that, Patrick? Who do you work with?
Not me, but
Does
it's
anybody
IT
know-
staff.
Curtis in our office works with IT.
I mean, it's easy enough to put mics at every desk, and you can, put them on and off, but right now, if you're in the wrong row, they can hardly hear what you're saying.
We can certainly raise that with IT.
I'm sure they'll figure it out. You know, everything's so sensitive now, maybe you just need one per row, or, they'll just, like here, these pick up everything.
Yeah, but if you've listened to ledge meetings, if you're in the wrong row, you can't really make out what the legislator's saying, and that's not good.
That's true. And I also think sometimes when you're listening to the committee, that you hear pen clicking and, you know, paper shuffling, and that's not always so helpful either. Drowns out Wanda. Are we good?
We're good.
All right, thank you very much.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Ricard, second by Ms. Willingham, all in favor? Toodles.